Imagine this. Britain is running out of food supplies, supermarkets are empty, there is civic unrest over shortage, trucks carrying basic food items are stuck at ports, planes are grounded, millions of citizens are up in arms against the British government. This hypothetical situation could soon become a reality if Britain fails to get a deal on Brexit from the European Union. And this is not our imagination. Business and political leaders in the UK are predicting doomsday scenarios and clashes on the streets. And that's only adding to the immense pressure on Prime Minister Theresa May. Her Brexit plans are on life support and time is running out. The United Kingdom and the European Union must finalise the Brexit deal by October this year. But disagreements and political bickering have put the likelihood of a deal in jeopardy. It's nowhere in sight. The corporate world is leading the charge against Prime Minister May's Brexit plans. After Tata's warning, now Amazon's boss in the UK, Doug Gurr, has warned of civil unrest if the UK fails to reach a Brexit deal. He reportedly made this comment during a meeting with the new Brexit Secretary Dominic Raab. The fear of the UK's exit from the European Union without a deal is now beginning to feel real. And if that happens, an immediate impact would be felt at the borders and at the ports. People and trucks bearing essential supplies would be lining up at the borders and ports for permissions to enter the UK. There could be tighter passport or customs checks. This is because now the United Kingdom would be imposing its own rules on immigration and customs. There won't be any transition period, something that both sides had agreed upon earlier. So businesses based in Britain may respond immediately by moving their operations outside the European Union. Many of them already are doing it. Not all major businesses, though, may feel the need to do that. Citizens of the UK and the EU may lose their rights to move and live freely across Europe. More than 1 million British citizens work and live in various EU member countries, and nearly 4 million Europeans have made the United Kingdom their home. They're all feeling the Brexit blues. None more than the woman who came to power promising Brexit. Theresa May is in a rather precarious position right now. Her party men will not agree to any compromise. The EU is not ceding space. She's caught between the devil and the deep blue sea. The British Prime Minister is dealing with a crisis that will determine the course of her political future.
Well, I couldn't be clearer. Brexit means Brexit, and we're going to make a success of it. There will be no attempts to remain inside the EU.
This was a bold proclamation from a politician who was trying to win Britain's prime ministership. 2 years later, Theresa May's Brexit plans are on a slippery slope. Britain is split between a hard and a soft Brexit. Two high-profile exits from the May government raised eyebrows earlier this month. The resignations of David Davis and Boris Johnson stirred up cries of a rebellion within the Conservatives. The United Kingdom is set to leave the European Union on the 29th of March 2019. That is less than a year away. The UK and the EU have agreed on a transition period and rights of their citizens after Brexit. But the negotiations are stalled on the future trade relationship and the Irish border. The border between Northern Ireland and Ireland remains the sticking point. A Brexit deal without free movement of goods would mean that border checks will be introduced at the boundary. The British Prime Minister is demanding a new deal from the European Union on this issue.
The reality is that any agreement we reach with the EU will have to provide for the frictionless movement of goods across the Northern Ireland border. Equally clear is that as a United Kingdom government, we could never accept that the way to prevent a hard border with Ireland is to create a new border within the United Kingdom.
But the Brexit tussle has sparked trouble for Theresa May in London. She's facing calls of resignation from her own party. Some members of the Conservatives will not accept a compromise on Brexit. But if there is no agreement over Northern Ireland and a possible trade deal, there may not be a Brexit deal at all. Bureau Report, WION.
So why aren't talks moving forward? Let's try to simplify this rather complex deadlock for you. The Brexit impasse is mainly over two issues. The first one is trade. Britain wants a post-Brexit trade deal with the European Union, and this could be done in two ways. The United Kingdom may continue to have access to the EU free market. The problem is politics. This decision affects the Prime Minister's position. Her party wants to snap all ties with the European Union, including trade ties. That brings us to the second choice, which is a fresh trade deal between Britain and the EU. The problem is they can't seem to agree on it. We've seen constant back and forth for months now. The deadline is in October. They could agree on a broad framework for a future trade agreement to push the Brexit deal in time, by October. The second issue is of the border rights of Northern Ireland. Northern Ireland is a region that has witnessed a 30-year-long conflict, a violent conflict. Free movement between Ireland, which is a member of the European Union, and Northern Ireland, which is a part of the UK, could be affected by Brexit. After Brexit, this boundary between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland will be the only land border between Britain and the European Union. Technically, if Britain wants a tight control over its borders, it could place passport checks, customs checks and tariffs at the border. This is something that the European Union and the Irish are not ready to accept, hence the impasse. Theresa May has a tough challenge on her hands. Brexit is proving to be a make-or-break issue for the Conservatives and the biggest challenge that Theresa May will perhaps face in her political career. Members of Parliament from the Conservative side have been playing hardball with the Prime Minister. If there's no deal in place, Britain could be pushed into another general election. Perhaps even a second referendum on Brexit. That may not be a bad idea, in fact. A second referendum could be the cleanest way to break this deadlock, and the odds for this plan continue to grow. If it does happen, Britain will face three choices. They can choose to remain in the European Union, or they can choose Brexit with or without a trade deal with Europe. There is a strong chance that Britain may choose to overrun the previous verdict. A survey by YouGov in 2016 found that 54% of British citizens would choose to remain in the EU if given another chance to vote.